Dead Rising is a third-person action game that has it all. Photo-taking, zombie fisting, hand-holding, piggyback rides, evil clowns, cat herding, Latinas. Published and developed by Capcom and released on August 8, 2006, the game was directed by Breath of Fire creator Yoshinori Kawano and created by former Capcom legend Keiji Inafune. Before he, Our story doesn't exactly start with Dead Rising. It starts with another Capcom game called Shadow of Rome, which Dead Rising was originally planned to be a sequel to. What Capcom wanted was a game released for Microsoft's new Xbox 360 console, and aimed generally at a more Western audience. Luckily, Dead Rising came out just before that phrase became the mark of the beast. The game didn't remain a Shadow of Rome sequel for long, but would continue to use Shadow of Rome as a foundation for the game's mechanics, as well as various models and animations. So Capcom began pre-production on a title internally known as Snatcher. During this time, Capcom would also be finalizing the work on their MT Framework engine. Dead Rising would be the first game on that engine. You know MT Framework, it's that magical little engine that could get games like Devil May Cry 4 and Resident Evil 5 running on absolute toasters. It also got Resident Evil 5 running on the 3DS of all things. One of the main ideas of Dead Rising would be that the main character wouldn't be your typical video game protagonist. He wouldn't be a trained soldier or a certified badass, but instead an average Joe. A schlubby, run-of-the-mill guy just trying to do his job and survive amidst the chaos and carnage of a zombie outbreak. The guy in question would be a photojournalist, who finds himself amidst the outbreak looking for the scoop of a lifetime. This would also add another layer to the gameplay, because aside from bludgeoning zombies with whatever they could get their hands on, players would have to use their camera to document the outbreak. The public would get their first look at Dead Rising at E3 2005 in the form of a trailer. The trailer would show off a very early build of the game. This build would receive a 10-minute playable demo at Tokyo Game Show later that year. Soon after this reveal, the game would receive a total visual redesign as well as various other changes, such as the number of days the player would have to survive in the mall cut down from 10 days to 3. Development would continue throughout 2006, with the final version of the game being shown off at E3 that year. I'm abridging the hell out of this, but if you want to know more, there's a full comprehensive history of the game's development chronicled by a gentleman known as STiPO, and I will leave a link to that in the description. I wholly recommend you read it. It's really interesting. The game would be released a few months after E3, and would be met overall with favorable reviews. Some would point out the game's awful partner AI, as well as issues reading the game's texts on standard definition TVs. Oh boy, don't I know all about that. But overall the game would be praised, and rightfully so. This would be the undisputed king of the zombie game. And I know what you're thinking, there have been plenty of other games with zombies in them, even Capcom's own Resident Evil series, but I would chalk those up as horror games. Dead Rising is a zombie game. Dead Rising is the zombie game. The confusion and chaos, the pressure of pitting the player against the never-ending swarms of the undead, the immense satisfaction of wading through the stream of zombies with whatever you could find, fighting tooth and nail against the ceaseless hordes. Nobody had ever done it like this, at least in my mind. This is the first game that really simulated the zombie outbreak experience. This is the advent. This is case zero for what I would call the modern zombie game. And I want you to join me as we delve headfirst into the mystery and madness of Dead Rising.
Here she is. Willamette, Colorado. Population 53,594. Distinguishing characteristics? Jack shit. About the only thing to do in this town is kill time at the shopping mall.
Meet our average Joe protagonist.
Frank West. Remember that name, because the whole world's gonna know it in 3 days.
Frank here is a freelance photojournalist, and he's got a tip that something big was going down in the sleepy town of Willamette, Colorado. And things are not looking good here.
For sure. Whatever's going on down there, it's not business as usual this time.
Frank has the pilot drop him off at the local shopping mall with instructions to pick him up in 3 days' time. Once we get into the mall, we find out that it's quite the party. We got everything. Zombies, guns, Latinas, even a boomer who tries to hit us with his cane.
What are you thinking? Get off!
I'm saving you, baby! Wait for me, sweetie!
I love how this woman is just freaking out and the dog is just chilling. The zombies straight up don't care, and this bitch is losing her mind. She loses a lot more than that. They all die. Pretty horribly, actually. I don't think the dog was worth it. But we don't gotta worry about that, because we got saved by the regional manager. He brings us up to the security room where we get to meet his wife, Jessie. And Otis. Can't forget about Otis. You're probably going to have strong feelings about Otis, one way or another, before this whole thing is through. Since the door is welded shut, we have to use a vent to get in and out of the security room. One of the first things the game does is teach you some of its mechanics. Something you're going to be doing a lot of is ferrying survivors back to this room. Be thankful that Jeff and his wife are the first ones to teach you this, because the other survivors... we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Zombies, huh? Had a feeling you'd show up.
I always love that line. You have no idea what kind of time you're about to have, Frank. Just you wait.
Oh, God, it's you. Look, don't sneak up on me.
Brad was attacked. I located him on the monitor. Ugh!
It's probably just a sprain.
I've gotta help Brad, or he's done for.
All right, fine. Give me your gun.
So, since Jessie hurt her ankle, we petitioned to go help Brad deal with, I don't know, shoplifters or something. Things are not going well for Brad when we find him. We're being fired upon by a mysterious Latin man with a P90. Now, that's some formidable firepower, but this sexy man in his partially unbuttoned shirt have seemed to have forgotten one thing. He's in America. So we find out that Brad isn't the regional manager, but instead he and Jess work for the feds, but we're not going to hold that against him. How could I say no to that mustache? Brad wasn't trying to deal with shoplifters, but instead was looking for that boomer who shook his cane at us.
Look, I don't know what Jesse told you, but as far as I'm concerned, we're through working together. So you cover your zombie story and leave the rest to us.
You guys are looking for someone here, aren't you?
Who is that? Where did you take it?
You help me, I help you.
Damn. You're one hell of a journalist, aren't you, Frank?
So we head off with Brad to the entrance plaza to get our man.
Sir, if you could just kindly come with us, we can wrap this whole thing up.
No, I'm not leaving until you can
Absolutely,
guarantee
sir.
me
If
safe
you
passage
just
to
open
these...
this gate. Just open this gate. It's for your protection.
I am not...
I know that tone. I know that tone all too well. That I'm so over this, but I need to be nice kind of tone. That please stop fighting me over stupid shit tone. I feel you, buddy. The boomer is being difficult, surprise, surprise, and won't come with us until we can guarantee safe passage. I don't know why Frank would wait to tell them about the chopper, but I don't know. I'm not the super slick, fancy pants photojournalist. So we have some time to kill before our next story beat. We find a couple of survivors on our way back, and...
Damn it! Over there!
oh boy, do we get a treat.
Loser! Get your aim right, brother!
All right, looks like we found our next contestant.
We're gonna take out that dude and snatch his old lady!
If you've heard of Dead Rising, you've probably heard this song, and it's fucking great. All the boss fights have what I would call butt rock songs to accompany them. I'm not sure if I'm using that term correctly, but in all honesty, I don't care. They go down pretty easy, but unfortunately, they don't stay that way. It's complicated. Ignoring the zombies surrounding you to kill a bug that's annoying you is one hell of a power move.
What in the hell is going on around here?
Once we get back to the safe room, Frank lets the gang know about the helicopter and offers them a ride out of the mall in exchange for information for his story.
My ride.
Is your ride reliable?
Absolutely. That's how I plan on getting out of here.
All right then. I'll see to it that the DHS picks up the charter fee. Can we take Dr. Barnaby as well?
Sure. As long as you tell me what's going on.
Okay. I'll tell you what you want to know. Later. We have more pressing business right now.
We get a call from Otis that the roller coaster in Wonderland Plaza is going haywire, and we should go investigate. This isn't a mandatory story beat, but it's important for other reasons. This must be one hell of a shopping mall to have a roller coaster in it. Biggest store in my local shopping mall is a Dollarama.
Stay away from there, Gramps! Huh? Everyone used to laugh at me. I was a walking punchline.
I already don't like clowns, and this one is particularly egregious. This weirdo also has one of the strongest weapons in the game, and he is not fucking around. Okay, it's been a little while, I'm a little rusty, but I'm getting back into the swing of things. It takes me a few times, but I do rightfully murder this clown. Go viral now, you motherfucker. Defeating Adam lets us save this mall employee, and you want this guy saved. He gives you a shortcut that is paramount to your success over the next 3 days. We also find some Japanese tourists and bring them along too. Why on earth they would choose Willamette, Colorado of all places to go on vacation is beyond me. I don't know, maybe they're Westaboos. It's also at this point in the game that the balance completely breaks, because now we have access to the small chainsaw. Pair that with a few books to increase durability, and you have the only weapon you'll ever need. Get used to hearing this. So we find our mysterious Latin lover bullying the elderly, because he's got the boomer tied up in the most dangerous of bondage.
Don't be daydreaming out here. Someone shooting from the floor above.
Oh shit, is that a fit? Fuck! Frank and Brad say they don't know who this guy is. I'm not sure why. I mean, you can see his name over his head. Actually, I don't know if they can see that. Frank's a good journalist, but I don't think he's that good.
I'll be fine. Just take care of the professor.
Damn, Brad. I mean, it sucks he got shot, but you kind of did fuck that up. You're kind of bad at this, my dude. So now we have to huff the boomer back to the safe room. Speaking of that leg, it ain't doing so good. It's starting to smell. He's gonna need something to put on that, so we have to find a pharmacy. There's one in the grocery store, so that's where we're headed. To the food and stuffs. Fuck. The boss theme slaps, though.
Clean up! Register 6!
We get our drugs and head back to the safe room. Now we just have to wait for Brad to sleep it off, which means we have some more time to kill. The boomer has finally woken up. He mumbles something about a Santa Cabeza, but Jesse doesn't let us listen in on the conversation. Lousy fed. So now we have to get our information elsewhere. Luckily. We have to stop mating like this. Fuck!
Wait, I've got to talk to you! You listen Listen to me, I'm not here to hurt you!
Remember, the best way to speak to a strange woman is to hold her down and shout that you're not here to hurt her. So the mysterious Latina is named Isabella. She says that the zombies were created by us and not her, which, real talk, just makes me assume that y'all are the ones that did this. She says we need to talk to Carlito, but he's not doing so hot at the moment. I wonder why. She tells us that she can get us an interview with Carlito once he's feeling better. We return to the safe room just in time to hear the boomer ranting and raving about drugs and terrorists and South Americans.
They're terrorists. Don't try to explain their actions with logic. I've analyzed the drug in question, and I've reported my findings to the government. That must be what set them off. They didn't want to be exposed.
Just like Thanksgiving. I totally didn't forget to put a spoiler warning in, and had to go back after the fact and put it in now. That's totally not what's happening. So, if you want to avoid spoilers, go to here. So after another fun-filled day, we get ready to meet our plug for our informants.
I tried to talk him into coming, but it was no good. He doesn't trust anyone.
He shot you?
He didn't mean to.
That didn't turn out as expected. Now we have to hoof it back to the safe room so Isabella can get that arm looked at.
Hey, I'm still alive!
You picked a real shitty time to show up. Don't think you can fucking argue with me just because you have the fit. Come on. We get these two back to the safe room, and once Isabella wakes up, it's time to get some answers.
What is your name?
Isabella. Isabella Keys.
Well, Isabella, this is an emergency, so we'll skip the formalities and cut to the chase. Consider this an official interrogation. Tell me everything that you know.
Fine. I'll explain why all of this is your fault. There was no drug trade in Santa Cabeza. Just an American research facility. They were doing research on some sort of parasitic insect. Like a wasp. A wasp that turns living things into zombies. If you don't believe me, just ask the man who was in charge of that research. The head of the Santa Cabeza Livestock Research Facility, Dr. Barnaby.
Okay, settle down there, Velma.
Huh?
What the hell was that?
Huh?
Oh no, tits! I mean, Jess!
It started! He's turning!
Hey! No, you don't!
We were conducting experiments to reduce the cost of breeding. We accidentally made zombie livestock.
Phew, that was quite the bomb drop. Imagine trying to make bovine Viagra and ended up making zombies. Well, looks like we got a doozy of a story to sell. Now we just have to hold out until that chopper gets here.
What? No way. No way.
I don't like how that sounds.
Exactly what is this last resort talk all about?
Carlito said that he'd blow up the mall if he were cornered.
Oh, for fuck's sake. So yeah, Carlito has a bunch of bombs scattered in the maintenance tunnels underneath the mall. I haven't spoken about the maintenance tunnels yet, and that's because I really don't go down there very much. It's a little cramped, to say the least. After defusing one bomb, Carlito comes to chase us down in a truck. He's not very successful, though. Eating the car causes him to crash, and then Brad chases him deeper into the tunnels, leaving us to deal with the bombs.
We got rid of your bombs. This is as far as you go today. Just give up and surrender.
Oh damn, we should go check on Brad.
Brad? Brad?
Frank! Don't get any closer. Stay away, Frank. Don't get near me.
What's the matter, Brad? Are you hurt? I'm coming over there, Brad. We'll go back together. If you're hurt, we'll patch you up.
That's a rough way to go. Rest in peace, my friend. He deserves a dignified end. With the bombs dealt with, we get back to the safe room. I always thought it was strange that we never tell Jess what happened to Brad. I mean, I know he asked us not to, but it always just felt kind of weird. It's also weird that she never catches on. After a bit, Isabella tells us that Carlito has a computer in a secret hideout that might have some information on it. Unfortunately, we can't carry Isabella this time, so we have to follow her. Luckily, it's not too painful. The zombies tend to not grab onto her, and her pathfinding isn't nearly as bad as the normies. After arriving at the hideout, Isabella tells us that Carlito has a jammer set up, blocking all communications coming from the mall. If we can get this jammer taken down, we can call for backup. Unfortunately, the PC controlling the jammer is locked up tight, so we're going to need the password from Carlito to open it. So our next step should be in finding him. And speak of the devil.
A customer.
Listen, buddy. I know he's a cut of meat, but not that kind of meat. Oh well, now it's time to beat another civilian to death in the name of journalism. He still dies, though.
Speak! Speak, damn it! What do you mean it's not over?
I'm sorry, Isabella. Give this to my sister. sister.
Hey. Shit!
After a while, Frank heads back to Isabella to break the news. She takes it about as well as could be expected.
He's dead.
Oh.
The news, along with the pendant Carlito used to wear, leads her to a revelation, and she finally figures out that computer password. Advanced biochemist and computer savvy? Frank, my dude, you need to lock this down now. Gotta turn on that charm. What was I talking about? With the jammer down, Jess can call the feds for backup. This doesn't end well. The feds don't want this story getting out, so they aren't sending help. They're sending a cleanup squad. The first team of goons show up to get Jesse and the rest of the folks out of the safe room. I'm not sure where the civvies are going. Hopefully they're okay. Except for Ronald and Aaron. I hope they take those two out behind the shed. Looks like Jesse got that same convenient strand of zombie infection that Barnaby got. Well, it's not convenient for her. Speaking of that shed...
Perfect.
We don't really have anything else to do until noon, so we just gotta farm soldiers for XP and vibe. Oh, I forgot to mention, Otis stole one of the Fed's helicopters. I mean, that's a pretty baller move for an old fella, even if it is a bit rude. Godspeed, you jackass.
Hey! 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 I'm over here!
I see you, buddy! I see you! Yeah! I'm on my way! Yeah! Yeah! Yeah, you did it! You did it! Yeah! Yeah!
Fuck. Okay, there's one thing I need to vent about right here, and that's that this playthrough was so fucking close to being a near perfect playthrough. Level 1 start on a fresh file, and the only scoop I missed was the Kent boss fight because I was foolish enough to think I could get the bomb mission done before noon, and the only other survivors I missed were those 3 jackasses in the gun store because I thought they spawned later than they did. I was so close. I was so fucking close. And to be honest with you, I'm still a little miffed about it. So after passing out, presumably because his brain overheated trying to figure out how that jackass managed to not notice a zombie was on his helicopter, and being dragged back to the hideout by Isabella, which, like, real talk for a minute, damn impressive on her part. Homegirl has been marching through this entire ordeal in heels. Like, girl. Damn. She drops some real hard news on us. Get ready for this. Frank got infected with the zombie virus. I know what you're thinking. How could this have happened? We were so careful. Enigmas notwithstanding, we need to figure out something, and quick. Luckily, Isabella has our back. She says she can cook up a concoction to prevent zombification, at least for a little bit. So we're gonna have to do some shopping. We need a blender, a magnifying glass, cold spray, developing solution, coffee filters, a camp stove, and a perfume bottle. I don't know what kind of science shit you can do with all this junk, but hey, even if it doesn't work, this is gonna be one hell of a whippet. I always thought this part of the game had such a weird feel to it. The amount of zombies that are wandering around the mall is drastically decreased, and there are various goon patrols roaming about. It always feels dead, and I'm not trying to meme here. This is how it feels. It's eerie not hearing the moans and wailings of the zombies. It's the first time you see the mall empty, and it's kind of spooky. After that, we need to go get a backup generator from the clock tower outside. We get to see the destroyed fragments of what was our ride, as well as a curious tunnel. After this, she needs about 10 or so queens. Overtime mode really bumps up the spawn rate of this, so it shouldn't take too long. Once we return to Isabella, she cooks up the first ever dose of Zombrex. Frank, better enjoy that first free dose, because, oh boy, once this hits the market, somebody's gonna be making a killing.
Boo, you suck.
We gotta go through the hole. That's the only way out of here. The hole in the clock tower. That's the way out. Unfortunately, that hole is filled with zombies. Like, more zombies than usual. It's pretty much shoulder to shoulder. So, in order to get through, Isabella cooks up a zombie repellent. But there is only enough for one person. So not only do we have to prove that we're a bad enough dude to brave the tunnel packed with zombies, but we also have to hold hands with the Latina the entire time. This hand-holding mechanic fucking sucks. I just like, stay together, goddammit. It's like driving a fucking trailer truck. God, why are your hands so sweaty, Frank? Why are you fucking this up, Frank? Luckily, we don't have to do it for long. Isabella trips and sprains her ankle, so we can just carry her through the rest of this, which is much easier. Where are we? I don't know. Why is the mall attached to a quarry? I don't know. Stop asking questions and fight the fucking tank. Wait, the what? All in all, this is actually pretty simple. You shoot the flashing bits until it dies. Occasionally, a little camera will pop out to aim its main cannon, but you can just shoot that till it goes away. After a little bit, it will release a score of these goofy little gun drone looking things. But, this thing is a 50 cal, so we give this nerd a little refresher into what anti-material means. This is until the Jeep flips over and the zombies swarm everything. I love the final fight in this game. I mean, I don't like playing the final fight in this game, but I love it thematically. Is it a good fight? No, not at all. But any game that ends with the protagonists having a fist fight with the final enemy on a platform surrounded by something dangerous is a good fucking way to end a game in my book. This fight can be either stupid easy or annoyingly difficult. It all depends on how fast you can knock this asshole off the tank. It's such a goofy end. I would love to know what's going through Isabella's head while she just impotently watches Frank scream on top of the tank. She'll never know the masculine urge to shout to the heavens after defeating a foe in Mortal Kombat. Pfft, women. I remember being so hyped for this game when it was announced, like hyped to the point of near obsession. This seemed like a game that was tailor-made for me, a George A. Romero-esque zombie thriller where you play as a photojournalist trapped within an American mega mall, and it's made by Capcom? The game had absolutely everything: zombies, conspiracies, Latinos, photography, copious amounts of violence performed with everyday objects, Mega Man, all taking place in a monument to American consumerism. The quaint, unassuming shopping mall turned into a coliseum of simulated zombie violence. It ticked so many little boxes of things that just piqued my interest, or tropes that I like. Now, I didn't get a 360 until around maybe late 2008, 2009, so for about 3 years I had to window shop, poring over articles and screenshots and occasionally being able to play the demo disc while hanging out with friends who actually had a 360. So, after years of saving up my pennies, I was finally able to buy myself a 360 and a copy of the game, and boy howdy was it something to behold. Now mind you, this is 2008-2009, i.e. before HD TVs became a standard, and I did not have an HD TV. I had an old 32-inch Panasonic CRT TV, so I had to use the component cables for the 360. Yeah, remember those? The 360 came standard with these bad boys at launch. That wasn't supposed to be a pun. I'm sorry. This TV was also not top of the line. It was an old TV, presumably older than I was at the time, so like 12 to 15 years old. And for those years, this TV was putting in work. I was not a child who enjoyed the outdoors. And I kid you not, this thing took a good 15-20 minutes to turn on, especially near the end of its life. You'd turn it on and the picture would blink on and off for about 15 or 20 minutes, and after that I could finally play my video games in what I assume is glorious 240p and blurry as shit. This TV was also heavy as fuck. This doesn't have anything to do with the story. I just remember this TV being a certified heavy boy. So, if you've played the OG Dead Rising, you probably know why I'm bringing up my old TV. I'm not just trying to set the scene for what it was like first playing the game. I'm also saying that playing this game, for years, mind you, because that TV continued to put in work until about 2015, I could not read any of the dialogue. Because the font they used in this game is so fucking small and so hard to read, it was even hard to read on HD TVs, let alone my old scuff box. It was completely unintelligible. I put dozens upon dozens of hours into this game and had absolutely no clue what was going on like 80% of the time. If an objective required more than following the arrow, I was shit out of luck trying to figure out what to do. Even despite that, I was captured, hook, line, and sinker. Dead Rising is one of the few games I've played during my lifetime that met the hype. I spent so much time building this game up in my mind before I could play it, and by the time I actually could play it, it had met all my expectations, and then some. It was perfect, at least for me. Even playing it now, I still love it just as much as I did back then. God damn, everything just works and it all fits together so well. The gameplay is very simple, but immensely satisfying. The core of the gameplay revolves around killing zombies, of course, and oh boy, did they give you a lot of things to do that with. Way too many to list off here. And most of which are just normal, everyday objects. You know, like stuff you would find in a shopping mall. And this really helps sell the game's setting. There's so much stupid shit that you can pick up. Like, no other game I can think of lets you accurately utilize the power of a CD jewel case. There are also a number of weapons that are just completely useless. Having this massive variety of weapons, yet not having everything be particularly useful or viable, just feels like more of a commitment to the setting. You didn't have to give me a working water gun, or condiments to throw at the zombies, or even the ability to spit at them. But they did. They went that extra mile because that's shit you would find in a mall. Not the spitting, you can do that anywhere, but you get what I mean. It's a commitment that makes the setting feel genuine, and I appreciate that. Another unique aspect of Dead Rising is the camera. Frank is a photojournalist, so you can take pictures. How this works is that there are a variety of themes that a photo can have, stuff like horror, violence, comedy, drama, and, of course, eroticism.
Be serious. Fantastic.
There are a few times in the game where you actually have to take a picture to progress a scoop, but for the most part this mechanic feels very undercooked. I know that during development they wanted the camera mechanic to play a more integral role into like progressing the story. I'm not sure how they planned to do that, and neither did they for that matter. I mean, at least it seems so, because you don't really have to take pictures at any time for anything. It's more of a narrative device. I still appreciate that it's there. I've always loved photography, and the fact that this game has it just has always been a treat for me personally. Even if I do forget to take pictures of the psychopaths every fucking time I play this game. Aside from killing zombies and taking pictures, you'll be completing scoops. These are your side missions. Otis will tell you about someone he sees on the security cameras, and you'll have to go there and help them out. There are a variety of these, and sometimes you'll have to get an item or do some little task for an NPC to come with you. But that's not the fun part. The fun part is trying to get these assholes back to the safe room. Not only does the survivor pathfinding suck, but they tend to act like a mix between how you think a normal person would act while being ferried through a ceaseless horde of zombies, and an incredibly horny cat. Meaning that they act like panicky, barely functional dipshits who routinely stand still or just don't obey your orders. They run into things, they run into each other, the list goes on. The severity of how bad this AI is the worst aspect of this game, hands down. If there's any reason to put this game down and like not return to it, or if there's just anything that just ruins the fun, it's trying to herd these dumbasses throughout the mall. And this plant. You will learn to hate this fucking plant. There are some very light RPG mechanics at work here also. Killing zombies, taking pictures, and completing scoops will grant you experience. Every time the player levels up, they receive an upgrade of some sort, either a change to a base stat like health, inventory, speed, damage, or they can receive a variety of combat moves. Everything you unlock is predetermined by level, so you don't get to choose anything, which I think overall fits, like it works with the more arcadey gameplay. Your character maxes out at level 50, and I think it just adds a nice little extra sense of progression to the gameplay. You really do feel like you're getting stronger as you level up. That being said, another aspect that kind of falls flat is the martial arts moves. Frank gets an impressive array of abilities, like a jump kick, a dodge roll. You can twist the zombies' heads off like a cork, and even disembowel them with your bare hands. While surprisingly effective, these moves have always been a pain in the ass to pull off. A lot of the inputs are very kind of obtuse, and a lot of them have like kind of a wind-up, like they're slow to actually use. And overall, it's just faster to bash whatever's in front of you with whatever weapon you can find. It is a cool idea, and the sequels would greatly improve on this idea in terms of ease of use and effectiveness, but unfortunately here it's rough. It is fun to give the zombies the old spin it to win it though. One thing Dead Rising does wonderfully is its near constant sense of being overwhelmed by the horde. Zombies tend to spawn almost immediately whenever you're not looking, so almost every time you turn around, almost anywhere you are, there's gonna be zombies shuffling towards you. You're always wading through the ceaseless hordes, trying to reach whatever little islands of safety you can find. They're always closing in, and you feel that. This plays into another thing that's done exceptionally well, and it's probably the biggest factor that makes Dead Rising unique, and that's how it handles its tone. So, when the team at Capcom set out to make Dead Rising, they wanted the game to have a more serious tone considering the horror and mystery of its story. But the team couldn't deny the fact that having a game set in a shopping mall with everything as a weapon and having a bunch of goofy costumes you could wear would inherently lend itself to comedic moments. And the game balances, or maybe to put more aptly, juggles, these conflicting tones to what I consider wonderful effect. No matter how absurd the circumstance of the situation, the game's story is always played straight-faced, and I think that really makes it work. Characters aren't making jokes or references, everything is done in earnest, and not only does that do a service to the game's story, but it also highlights and amplifies the absurdity of the situation. You'll have these tense moments where characters have to take action and work under pressure, and then, you have smash cut to a half-naked middle-aged man with a Servbot mask, or just straight up dressed like Mega Man. It's that mix of treating your material with respect, while also letting the players have their fun. You get to enjoy both worlds without having to make concessions. The balance of serious and absurd has always reminded me of another one of my favorite games, which is Max Payne. Both of these titles present an absurd premise, but play it off with such earnestness, playing their story off as serious, while also not conceding the fun of their gameplay in order to stay lockstep with that tone. And this is an aspect that I respect immensely in both titles. It comes off to me as the player, as the creators had respect and care for what they were making, instead of playing off the absurdity of their titles with referential humor and fourth wall breaking commentary. It never stops to say, oh, look how wacky this is, or anything like that, and I appreciate that so much. Another thing that has always stuck out in my mind about Dead Rising is how good the body language and the facial expressions are during the cutscenes. I can't explain it as well as I'd like, but it adds that little extra just to really sell the performance. A sigh or a shrugging of the shoulders, the near constant, what the fuck am I supposed to do about this body language Frank is giving off. The little looks the characters give, the body language in particular is so good that it can sell the cutscenes even when the face is covered by, say, a surfbot mask. It really makes the characters feel like real people, which really helps sell that earnestness I was talking about. And this point also extends to the zombies as well. Very good, very well animated, very on point. I really do believe that these people are dead. All that being said, there are a lot of valid criticisms you could mount against this game. The gameplay is simplistic and slow, the AI is horrendous, the time limit is a decisive aspect for some. Despite the staggering amount of weapon variety, there is only a handful of weapons that are actually useful. You can't skip dialogue or the transceiver calls. You have to strain your eyes to read the damn font. The core gameplay loop basically boils down to a series of increasingly infuriating escort quests. The last 12 hours of the game, at game time, there's absolutely nothing to do. And all of these are valid points, but I mean, what do you want me to say? This was the perfect game to release at the perfect time for me to enjoy it. And even to this day, I still enjoy it about as much as I did when it released, flaws and all. So now I guess I have to talk about So, you already know how I feel about this game. I like this game. I like this game a lot. You might even say it's my favorite game. So, when I hear they're remaking the game, I'm immediately struck with the cold chill of defensive revulsion, because that's what I feel nowadays when I find out that a company is touching the thing I like. Not exaltation or excitement, it's distrust and apathy. So, when I see the trailer, and I hear the goofy music and the silly freeze frames, my immediate visceral reaction is, oh, they're gonna fuck this up. They're gonna do like what they did with the last one. The near perfect and careful balance of tone between silly and serious, the straight-faced absurdity is gonna go out the fucking window in lieu for silly, meme slop, Borderlands, clown honking bullshit. And we already have clowns here, and they are no honking matter. So I was definitely nonplussed with what I had initially seen. I wasn't going to look up any other gameplay footage. I was gonna save myself, and I was just gonna see for myself the train wreck this was gonna be when it released. Because let's be honest, good or bad, I'm buying this fucking thing. But then that Capcom event happened, and despite saying I wouldn't look up anything, I did watch it. And then Capcom released that video with the director and the producer playing the game and talking about like the first hour or so. And I watched that as well. And after all that, I'm still trying to temper my expectations, but those expectations are of cautious optimism. Never in my life, especially with how this series went out with 4, would I have expected it to return with seemingly this much respect and care put into it. I had just assumed for so long that this was just going to be another series Capcom would sweep under the rug and never really look at again. But it actually looks pretty good. Like, Dead Rising, in my opinion, is already pretty much a perfect game. Like, you could just take the original Dead Rising and, do a couple of things, fix... All you really have to do is, make the dialogue skippable, and, you can fast forward through it, and fix the partner AI, and basically, for me at least, you would have a perfect game. And it looks like this is what they did. It looks like they took the original game, they kind of built it up from the ground up in their new RE engine, which is, I do love that engine. Capcom knows how to make a good fucking engine. And, from what I've seen, it just looks like they left everything as it was. The first Dead Rising, but with a facelift and quality of life fixes, is all I've ever wanted, and it looks like this is what that might be. And after seeing what they've released so far, low key, I can't wait. I can't wait to try this. And the cherry on top is it comes out this year. I don't even have to wait very long. It comes out I'm dating the video, but it comes out in a fucking month. Yeah, there are some things that I saw that I didn't quite care for. I don't really like the UI or the pause menu changes. I wish they would have stuck with the 2006 news aesthetic. They made Frank look way too fucking old. They made him look really old. And I don't think I'll ever get used to anyone but TJ Rotolo voicing him. but I mean, he still sounds pretty good. Those are just like nitpicks, and all things considered, I'm just more excited than anything. To have like that kind of disdain and apathy I initially had when I saw the trailer completely do a 180 and turn that into like cautious optimism is, at this point, it's more than I could ask for. Like, god damn. I'm not going to talk any more about this because, let's be real, it will get its own video thing at some point. So I'm just gonna leave it here at cautious optimism. This being my favorite game and all, I was going to save doing a video on this for like some sort of special occasion or like a milestone, or until like my skills at making these got a little better. But once I heard the remaster, I knew like I have to do this now, just so like I could put my opinion out there on the original before everybody started talking about this again. I need people to know that this has been an obsession of mine from the beginning. This game still means a lot to me. It's one of those timeless pieces of media in my eyes. One of those things that just always seems to be as good as it was when I first experienced it. Is it perfect? God, no. But goddamn, I love every little part of it. It is a title that has remained at the very top of my favorites list since I first played it, and it's always a blast to play, and I'm glad to see Capcom at least acknowledging it, and not only that, but like giving it the respect I feel it deserves. It makes me feel a certain way, and that's a good way. Just before I end this, I would like to shout out a channel named STiPO and the gentleman who runs it. I use this guy's archive when researching the development of Dead Rising. He's got a really impressive body of research surrounding not only this game's development, but his YouTube channels, like just documenting little weird things in Dead Rising, which I thought was really cool to go through. It's always a wonderful, magical moment when you ponder through the mad scribblings of another online weirdo who has the same fascination you have. It's a lot of good work and dedication was put into his coverage of Dead Rising as a whole, and I'll leave a link to that below because you really should take a look at it. It would have been a lot harder to research what little research I did for this if it wasn't for the work he had done, and I'm infinitely grateful for the folks who go out there and put work into stuff like this. And yeah, with that, I think that's everything. That's everything for today. As always, thank you for watching. I appreciate you all immensely. And until next time, stay safe and take care. Oh no, tits!